Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
Hell, my mouse is not working today. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are back with our top 10 for the month, and it's the top 10 films from 1983. I had seen, well, let's put it this way. I remembered watching over 20 and had to narrow it down to 10. So, some on my list that like maybe some people have not seen. I will go into it, like why I enjoy it and why, like, if you are looking for interesting films, why I think you should watch them. But anyway, before I say hello to the chat, my co-host Steve Kenobi, who also has his top 10 list ready to go for 1983. Let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Here, twice a month. And on Twitter, too much.
Yeah. So, yeah, but you can obviously find me here. This is my YouTube channel. I will be getting back. I know I keep saying this, but I will be getting back into making videos. It just hasn't really been anything I've wanted to talk about. I don't care if it's in the news. I don't care if it's popular. If I don't care about it, I don't make videos about it. I don't care if it's trending. So nothing really, in my opinion, too much to talk about. Like, not worth at least making videos on. Let's put it that way. But I will be definitely getting back to making videos once Rings of Power Season 2, the closer we get to that, starts dropping. So I know the shills, they have already started. They've already started trying to bait people with posts about Eowyn and how we would call it woke if it happened today, despite the fact that it happened in the books and no one had a problem with it because of that very fucking reason and shit like that. It's going to ramp up the closer we get to Rings of Power. So, I'll be covering that shit the closer we get to it. So, but anyway, and also I started a Discord. I broke down and created a Discord server where just to let you all know, like, you can come in, hang out, chat with other people on different topics and like different threads, sections I have on my Discord, as well as voice channels, which I have like one dedicated to watch parties. So anything that we want, want to watch. If I do anything Lord of the Rings related, that would definitely have to be an early stream because, sorry, that's my phone. Definitely be an early stream because there's no way I'd be doing anything less than the extended versions, and they're over 3.5 hours to like over 4 hours long, depending on which one you put on.
Teresa went to the cinema yesterday and watched the extended Return of the King.
Yeah, I did not have a chance to do that, but I did see it when it when I was in college and they re-released the movie. So I did see that multiple times. In the cinema. It's not easy to go to the theater during the week.
I want a cinema room.
Mm-hmm. But from the top, I see Trey. What is up? He's ready for the lit discussion. Yeah. Gravy D says, hello, Steve. Hey, miss, I narrowed my list down from a little over 20. Yes, a little over 20. At the very least that I remember watching from 1983. You have 5, and they ain't in any particular order. No worries. Some of you are just going to be difficult to even come up with 10.
That's a big word. He didn't fucking bother putting them in order and shit. I mean, come on, Mr. Gravy D, if that's indeed your real name, sir.
Bradley Scott, hello, good to see you. Jaluk, what is up? Retro Collective, good to see you. Yes, 83 was a pretty packed year. Like I said, I had to narrow my list down because I had seen quite a bit from 1983. More than I actually thought I did, but yeah.
Just wait until we get to 84. Holy damn.
Yeah, and this is my Discord, guys. So yeah, like I said, if you want to just hang out, talk with people, like I said, I have voice channels for when I do gaming streams and for watch parties and things like that. So yes, humble as always, Stig.
Actually, I tend to be quite humble.
Yes.
In general.
This is my kick. I'll be there Friday. So that and Citizen Ronan, hello, good to see you. Ms. Martin Music, speaking of, good to see you as well. I'm as of now, I'd be available Sunday for D&D, unless anything comes up.
Mm.
Healy, what is up? Good to see you. Uh,
Really
Thank you.
fucked up happened last time on D&D.
what?
Yeah, nothing really fucked up happened last time.
No.
It's actually quite mild.
Mm-hmm. Is this a Sieg's Twitter? So.
Oh yeah, you know, if someone follows me from that link or something, keep in mind it takes me like 6 months till I maybe follow back because I don't pay attention. I don't even know how many followers I have. So it's, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't look.
Will I be doing videos for Halo as well? Chances are yes, but I will not be watching the episodes, so I won't be commenting on the episodes. But if I'm pretty sure that people will be saying stupid shit the closer we get to when that drops, which is I think February 8th. I'll be covering some of that. So.
Oh, I have a little announcement because you know how I get stick for not watching anime because I think it's usually soy and stuff. Well,
Mhm.
I have started watching The Black Lagoon,
Mm-hmm.
and I've watched, I think it's 12 episodes so far. So I'm halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to that, Miss Mara and Mr. Trey?
First off, what I have to say to that is your generalization of anime still makes my eye twitch because you are refusing to watch it based solely on that misconception of the whole basically genre itself. So actually broaden your horizons for fucking once.
Well, it's
In
also
that
that
regard, Black
every
Lagoon is one of my
fucking
favorite. Hey, let me finish. Black Lagoon is one of my favorite ones. Revy is one of pretty much my all-time favorite character, and you have to watch Roberta's Blood Trail after you finish Black Lagoon. It's a spin-off of sorts from Black Lagoon, following a particular character that I don't know if you've encountered yet or not. I can't remember the episodes too well, and like when she appears, but you have to watch that.
well, there's only been like 2 or 3 ladies. There was a last one I watched was some kind of Chinese lady with broken English. And
That's not her.
There's been a maid.
That's her, Roberta.
Yeah, she was fun, but slightly Mary Sue-ish. But
You have
fun.
to watch her Blood Trail. Like it kind of gives a background to why she's like that.
Okay.
In a sense, like you get more of you get more of an idea of her character because like she's not exactly a main character in Black Lagoon.
Well,
So, yes,
I'm gonna give it a score from 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm done.
Hey,
I'm gonna
Abomination.
tag you in it and watch you rage.
Not only will I rage, but I will retweet your posts. All right, so everyone else sees it, and you get to deal with whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
Yes, he's now a weeb. But anyway, so
You get to deal with all the trans people using female avatar, anime avatars and shit.
D20 dice to see who goes first.
Should we even roll though? It always lands on you anyway.
Well, it's up to you. Maybe like for once, it might go your way.
Okay. 1 to 10 or 11 to 20?
11 to 20.
11 to 20?
Yes.
17.
All right. Okay, so before I give my number 10 chat, I'm going to preface this with I'm not implying that it's like the worst of the choices I have on my list. Most pretty much objectively speaking is I would say arguably cinematically the best. However, the reason why it is so low on my list is because I have to factor in rewatchability. And this film is incredibly visceral in more ways than one. So after I watch it, I'm pretty much good for a while before I like return to watching it. Again, it's not to say that this movie is like the worst of the top 10 I have. It's just I have to factor in how likely will I be to rewatch it, and how likely would it be that I would go back and rewatch it shortly, quickly, pretty much.
Or even buy it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, and that is Scarface. I mean, like, chances are, I don't even have it on Blu-ray, but chances are, yeah, I would have it on Blu-ray. But it's kind of like Joker. It's kind of like the Joker film that came out a few years ago. It's incredibly visceral. So it's like when you watch it, it's like you're engaged, and yeah, no, not Davido's house, no. So like you're very much engaged. Sorry, Trey. All right, but at the same time. At the same time, it's will I go back and watch it soon after I'm done watching it? Chances are no, because it's a literal gut punch from beginning to end, pretty much. And for those who have not seen Scarface, Al Pacino, okay, screenplay by Oliver Stone, directed by Brian De Palma. Stars basically Al Pacino, and why am I blanking on her name?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes, thank you. And like a host, other characters, pretty much. And like Al Pacino plays a character called Tony Montana. He's Cuban, who's like basically it's like begins in 1980, so it's very much alluding to the number of Cubans that were escaping communist Cuba. Once it fell to Fidel Castro and his brother Raul Castro and Che Guevara, things like that. And now, there's like a steady influx of Cuban refugees of sorts into the United States because they were escaping communist Cuba, and that's the premise this movie was going with Tony Montana and he's coming to America with his friends. He meets a couple others, and I'm going to be simplifying the plot pretty much, but ultimately not only falls into the drug trade, but rises to the top. So he's pretty much a kingpin as the movie progresses, and as he further progresses in the ranks of that cartel, he becomes more and more ruthless to the point where it doesn't matter how close you are to him. If he considers you a threat, if you at all cross him in any fucking way, even unintentionally, he will kill you. And it ends with him basically in a cocaine rage of sorts and a shootout. It's like pure madness at the end of the film. Yeah, he gets more and more crazy. But like I said, it's an incredibly visceral film. It doesn't shy away from the the dredge and the violence that is the cartel and so forth. What was going on in the 1980s. And yes, it is over the top, but at the same time, it's because of that over the topness and visceralness is why I would put Scarface at number 10. Just because of that. It's a very good film. Incredible, in my opinion, very good film. But after I'm done watching it, I'm good for a while. Long while before I watch it again.
I actually rewatched it today for this stream to see if I would put it on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I actually, upon watching it today, I thought it was overrated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it didn't make my list. I'm not saying it's a bad movie at all. I just thought this is a bit overrated.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Of the two, I actually prefer Godfather. If I had only one choice, that's what I prefer.
Also, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City sure as fuck ripped off this movie a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely Vice City.
Even the soundtrack.
I've not played the game, but definitely Vice City. Very much feel of Scarface in terms of the city, the cartel, the characters, and things like that. So, But yeah, my number 10 is Scarface. Again, because I think not because it's the worst of the lot, just because I'm good for a nice long while. After I'm done watching it. All right, cool. All right, so that's my number 10, Scarface.
Well, my number 10 is objectively a shit movie, but I simply had to have it because I had it on VHS when I was a kid, and we didn't have that many movies, so you rewatched the ones you had, right, over and over again. And Superman 3.
I know I've seen that, but it did not make my list.
Back when you were a kid and fucking stupid, at least in my neck of the woods, people just assumed it was better because it had a high number. So if it was like movie title and then 3 or something, it had to be better because it was a higher number. It means it was newer, right? But yeah, this is not a good movie. I rewatched it last year. It has some fun scenes. It's not the worst movie ever made, but after Superman 1 and 2, it's a steep dive, isn't it? And then they managed to dive even further with 4, which I'm probably never going to watch again. I rewatched that one last year too. It was no. But I mean, it looked like that they were trying to focus on or rather capitalize on Richard Pryor's fame rather than Superman in this one. I don't know. Oddly, a very good cast for such a shit movie.
Four is worse.
But yeah, Superman 3.
All right. Like I said, didn't make my list, and I know I've seen it, but it's been a long while. Never really had the desire to go back and watch it.
If we were making like our top 10 best movies, then it sure as fuck wouldn't have been on my list. But it's just we're doing favorites based on nostalgia and all that stuff, right? So then I simply couldn't leave it out. Yeah. No. Ron in the chat is right. It's like Superman 3 starring Richard Pryor, co-starring Christopher Reeve. Yeah. And, Lois Lane was barely in it. Oh, I think I spotted Apone from Aliens in it. Played a fireman.
I don't remember Superman 3 that well.
Do yourself a favor and skip it.
Yeah, I basically, if I go back and watch any Superman films, like at least with Christopher Reeve, it's only 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, 1 and 2 are fantastic. But this was
I enjoyed them. I was always more into Batman, so.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I grew up with them.
Yeah. I know. So, but anyway, do you have anything more to say about?
No, basically, if you want to feel bored, watch it.
I don't think I'll ever get that bored, but maybe. But yeah, so number 9, and it's your turn to start.
My number 9 is another one I rewatched. It is a damn good crime thriller called Gorky Park. Have you seen that one with
No.
William Hurt and Lee Marvin and what's her name?
No.
Anna Pakula.
I have no idea.
And Palpatine plays a coroner.
Ian McDermott.
Yep. So basically, a couple of gruesome murders has happened in Gorky Park in Moscow during the Cold War, and William Hurt plays a Russian policeman who has to investigate. And there's lots of cover-ups and a hell of a lot of really good twists. I believe it's based on a novel. William Hurt is fantastic in this one, by the way. Yeah, I'd give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10, actually. If you haven't watched it, do so. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm with Ron. I hadn't even heard of this movie.
It was a fairly big movie at the time, but sometimes movies slip by it, right? But yeah, it's like a Cold War crime thriller with some really cool twists and really good acting. Yeah.
Two of these movies, of the chats I highlighted, 2 of them are on my list. But yeah, so I've never seen Gorky Park. So
Trey, add it to your review list. I think you'd really enjoy it. And I wouldn't recommend you watch anything that I wouldn't watch myself. And this one I definitely would watch again and again.
All right. Okay. Well, my number 9 is a mini series. Basically a TV movie broken down into 2 parts, but it was released in 1983 and stars a good number of people. One of which, for all you horror fans, you would recognize the name of Robert Englund, who would go on the year later, as Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street. But this miniseries came out in 1983, and it is simply called V. Very much science fiction. It's a 2-part miniseries, and this race of aliens come down to Earth. Basically, good number of motherships, pretty much, and they appear human. And they try to pass themselves off as we're basically reaching out and friendship, wanting to learn and help the human race and things like that. And long story short, they're not there. No. Pretty much, they're not. Yes,
they did a reboot of that series. Was it 10 years ago? Something?
Yeah, well, roughly.
That one wasn't too bad, actually. I have not seen the original though.
But the original, I prefer the original over the remake. The original, it's a 2-part miniseries, and it pretty much is, I'm not going to go into details, but basically, spoiler alert: the aliens aren't there for they're not friendly.
Does the series have an ending?
What?
Does the series have an ending? Or did it get canceled or something?
It's a mini series. It's not like a TV show. So when it's a mini series, it has an ending.
Yeah,
it's kind of like The Stand. When the Stand movie came out, there's like a 4-part mini series. It has an end. It's just broken into It's broken into multiple parts, not just released as one film. Things like that. That's what a mini series means.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what it means. I wasn't sure if.
No, I'm saying, but it has an end. It's not like a TV show that was canceled or anything. It has an end. I don't want to know what the end is. So.
I actually have that miniseries. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
Yeah. Hey, Kay.
Maybe I'll watch it after.
When you up before Terminator, yeah, pretty much did, because it's when you're watching it as a kid, it is pretty out there. So.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it after I'm done with the Black Lagoon thingy.
Yeah, it's only 2 parts.
Yeah.
I believe just 2 parts, so it's not like you're not going to have to dedicate a lot of time to watching it necessarily. So,
if it's good, or rather, if I like it, I don't mind dedicating time to it.
So yeah, I'm just saying that it's I'm not sure how long each part would be. I'd imagine probably no more than 2 hours, because it was a TV movie. So, and then it generally accounts for commercials and things like that when it originally aired.
Yeah.
So I had to tell you, Abomination, Crawl, and Meaning of Life nearly made the list. Because I do enjoy Crawl, which has a Liam Neeson in one of his early roles. So, yeah, an early Liam Neeson role. He's in that.
He starred with Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson the year later.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which movie that was?
Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson in 1984.
It's based on a true story.
I don't know. I might have seen it, but like I'm blanking now because the movies I really watched with Mel Gibson was like Lethal Weapon, Mad Max.
It's The Bounty.
Never seen that.
Mutiny on the Bounty, right?
I haven't seen that version. I know Mutiny on the Bounty. I haven't seen that version.
It's good, really good.
I liked Crawl, but then again, like I had no phobias that like were affected. So, but I enjoyed Crawl. Anyway, so yeah, V. I mean, again, there's not too much to say about V. I can't really go into details. I don't want to spoil anything, but for the most part, it's like shockers. Aliens come down pretending to be friendly, and surprise, they're not.
Yeah.
And they appear human, and the reason why they appear human, like you'll see it to watch it to see why and what they actually look like. So, but yeah, V, pretty much the letter V, or V, the original miniseries, depending on how you find it as. So, yeah, Mr. Mom was also 1983. So, but yeah, number 9, V. Okay.
Okay.
So,
your turn.
Yeah. My number 8, is an animated film. All right, I had to include this because I grew up watching it when I was a kid. Very much enjoyed it. It's another like Looney Tunes outing, and it's a parody of sorts of Fantasy Island. It's called Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island, and that's pretty much, if you've seen Fantasy Island, you can gauge what Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island is like. Pretty much, it's like people come to this island and there's a wishing well, and you make a wish, and whatever your fantasy is, it'll come true on this island, pretty much. But it's a Looney Tunes spin to it. So that's pretty much all like I would say to that. So it's like multiple cartoons. So basically the overarching premise, all right, is that it's Daffy Duck is in like the role that Ricardo Montalban had on Fantasy Island, where he's kind of like the curator of the island and things like that. So he's kind of like watches over the well, and like he opens up resorts and things like that for people to stay in at the island. And it's like a series of cartoons within that overarching premise. So yeah, Quackbusters also that I very much enjoyed watching too. Yeah, so like I said, if you've seen Fantasy Island, then you can gauge what Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island is like, just with the Looney Tunes spin to it.
Animated movies like that, though, are I think they're fun to watch even as an adult.
Yeah.
Just relax and just shut your brain off and watch, and a lot of it is way more clever than gets credit for.
Yeah. So it took Fantasy Island and again, put their own spin on it, and you go back and you watch them as a kid, and you pick up on things, and you go back and watch it as adults, and you pick up on things that you never really registered when you're watching as a kid.
Yeah.
So you watch it as an adult, and you understand where that humor is coming from.
Yeah.
So I grew up as a kid watching Fantastic Island. Never seen an episode of Fantasy Island. Then I watched some episodes of Fantasy Island, and I'm like, oh, that's what they were kind of making fun of in this. Okay, I get it. Things like that. And then SCTV, which it was a variety show, much like SNL, Saturday Night Live, and they did their own parody of Fantasy Island, which if you've not seen that episode, I thought it was like fucking funny. Speedy Gonzalez plays Tattoo. So bus, the plane. Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh, Tattoo, is that a little Chinese guy that was in a Bond movie?
I believe so. It's like a little person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy counts as 80s. I'm going to use him for the D&D company. D&D game.
Yeah.
Just to mess with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love SCTV. I actually prefer SCTV over Saturday Night Live. So, but yeah, like they did their own parody of Fantasy Island. So I loved it. I remember when I first watched it dying laughing at it. Yeah, so Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island. Not really much that necessarily to be said. Going into detail, it's
You know what?
Fantasy Island.
I think that's a superb pick, actually.
Yeah, it's basically Fantasy Island, but Looney Tunes.
It's easy to forget about animated movies when we make these lists.
I know that I'm going to be having more animated movies just because of the years we have coming up and what I watched when I was little. So I know I'm going to have more.
Yeah,
but that's one that came out in 1983 that I remember watching. And I had to put it on my list. So
I'm definitely having an animated movie for 86, and I'm sure everyone in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If they've got the touch. If they got the power.
Moving on. You're number 8.
My number 8, well, you already mentioned it, but you didn't have it on the list. The Meaning of Life.
Yeah, it nearly was on the list.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what to call it. Would you call it a mockumentary? Almost like a satire, philosophical skit combination?
Yeah, it'd probably be along the lines of mockumentary, much like what Christopher Guest does with his movies.
Yeah, because it's not a movie. It's a series of stuff that looks at the possible meaning of life through weird yet sometimes clever observations and
it's Monty Python. Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Yeah.
So
the one with Michael Palin as a drill sergeant is probably my favorite. Where they're not allowed to laugh and stuff. And you can see the extras trying not to laugh, and some of them losing it too in the background.
Yeah.
Because of his screaming. But
he did something like that. He did something like that with I believe Life of Brian, where he's talking about his friend Biggest Dickus.
Yeah, in this case though, it's more you see the other actors lose it in the background.
You kind of do like the same in Life of Brian, where like the extras are trying not to laugh, and you see them like trying to hold back their laughter. That's like what he would. That's what he would do, where it's like these extras are tasked not to laugh, like no laughing, and like that's why they really had to hold it.
Did you see the skit where it was a live show where Michael Palin kind of
History of the World,
lost it on stage due to Terry Jones. I think he was doing the squeaky voice, and Palin just started trembling, and then he was looking away, and when he was doing his lines, his voice just kept breaking.
Yeah,
and all of them started breaking up except John Cleese, who just stood there like a statue, completely fucking unaffected, which made it even more twisted, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, The Meaning of Life, very rewatchable, almost like a flying circus reunion show in a way, because it's
DJD.
It's full of similar skits, but
yeah, it's along the lines of mockumentary, but like not exactly quite. because like the Christopher Guest movies are kind of
Yeah.
parodying and making fun of like a certain element or genre and things like that. Like this is Spinal Tap. It's a mockumentary. Like mockumentary is like, you know, basically a play on documentary.
Yeah. This is kind of, I don't know what to call it.
Yeah,
but,
it's like a yes and no, where it has like some mockumentary elements, but it's not quite a mockumentary. It's more like there's a word for it. Can't remember, but I know what you're talking about. It's not quite a mockumentary.
yeah, it's very weird to classify it as something, because it's definitely its own rare thing in a way, you know. Worth
Susan
watching
Brennan,
though.
are you thinking of the elephant story? Because I died laughing at that one. Hey, Omaha. Yeah, sorry. Jay, go on.
No, I'm just saying it's very hard to properly classify this one, because it's a lot of things and nothing, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much Monty Python. It's pretty much Monty Python in a nutshell. I would say like of the Monty Python I've seen, it's like film wise, my favorite is Holy Grail.
Mine too.
Oh.
They just had everyone get arrested at the end because they had run out of budget.
Yeah, so just like just do that. Thank you, anthologies. It's like that's what I was looking for. It's more like an anthology.
Yeah, okay. I would say it is a bit philosophical though, because it does explore and make fun of a lot of, you know, people's meanings of life in a way. You know, it has to go with religion and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so basically, like, you know, it's an anthology, basically an anthology, but has an overarching theme to it.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, but Holy Grail would not be able to be made today, especially the Castle Anthrax scene. Especially when they're saying they have to be punished and have Galahad spank them.
Yeah. Oh, DJ D is in the chat.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, haven't seen you in ages. I hope you're well. He was actually, you know, DJ D is the reason I popped on YouTube.
Yeah.
He nagged me till I popped on, and then I popped on, and then people just started tossing me around their channels because I couldn't say no. And here I am.
Here you are.
So he's to blame.
Yes. But yeah. Well, there's like a lot that Monty Python that would not pass today. I think my favorite is gun to my head. I think my favorite part of Monty Python and the Holy Grail is the scene where Lancelot charges the castle.
Yes, that one's a 10 out of 10.
That whole the whole scene where you're introduced to the son that's being married off to this like woman he doesn't want to marry, and all the son wants to do is sing. Yeah, and things like that, and the father is played by Michael Palin. I died laughing.
And the I'm not dead scene.
Yeah. You will be in a moment.
Yeah, you're not fooling anyone, you know.
I feel happy. I feel just like bashes him over the head with the club. He's like, "Oh, thank you very much." Anyway, so yeah, well, we kind of got off topic, but yeah, so those are our number 8s. Those are our number 8s.
Yeah.
Now we're on number 7.
And my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I have another shit one that I had on VHS that I watched so much, the tape got ruined, which was probably a blessing. Jaws 3.
Jaws 3D. Yeah.
Yeah, the 3D ruins the movie. It does. It looks like a. I mean, at the end, the shark looks like almost like a paper plane or something coming towards the screen, right? But and apparently Dennis Quaid and a lot of the others were coked out during the shoot of it.
Or can you blame them with that plot? But yeah, go ahead.
Well, the plot is fine. A shark gets into SeaWorld, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good enough for a giant shark movie plot. And they had a fairly good cast with Bess Armstrong, Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett, and Simon McCorkindale was a very underrated actor. But once they start doing the 3D scenes, and and the fucking dolphins. The dolphins.
I didn't look. Yes, that was cringe, but at the same time, I was like, as long as the dolphins survive, I don't care how many humans get eaten. So that was me watching the movie.
Well,
go ahead.
There would be dolphins.
Yeah.
At that place, so I'm not thinking it, messes up the plot or anything. They just did.
No, the way what messes up the plot was the timeline gets fucked again.
Oh hell yes! The timeline doesn't work at all.
No.
So it's actually so bad that even Jaws 4 ignores it.
Yeah. So
Jaws 4 actually sticks to the timeline better.
Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't know what they were thinking with the timeline in 3, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work.
Yeah. It has a hell of a good soundtrack, I thought, though. Jaws 3. And
typically 80s movies do have really good soundtracks because of because of the overall time period and what was popular. So
yeah. And some of the shark scenes aren't that bad. It's basically when they start using the 3D that it gets really, really bad. The rest is okay,
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I had it on VHS and I probably watched it 50 times. So I had to include it just based on that, right?
Yeah. Bob's Burgers
but Jaws 3 is not the worst.
No, Jaws 4 is actually worse than 3.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of other, big budget Hollywood monster movies that are worse than Jaws 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets a bit more slack than it deserves, even though it is bad, but it's not like a 1 out of 10.
No, I'm not saying it's like 1 out of 10. I'm just saying, it's more like it's more like a 5 out of 10 for me, where it's not great, but it's not horrible either. It's like right in the middle for me.
Yeah, and I think we notice it more when we get older. When you're a kid, you're just, wow, that shark's big, swim.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. The fact that sharks can swim into as low as 3 feet of water is why I just don't even wade into the ocean if I ever go to the beach, or I rarely ever do.
Oh, and this shark swam backwards out of the vent. That was no. It doesn't work like that.
Nope. They can't do that.
No, not at all.
Not even a marine biologist, and I'm like, that is bullshit.
Yep.
What? But yeah, so that is your number 7.
Yeah, Jaws 3. I said it and I meant it.
Well, there you go. I'm not a marine biologist, but I would have to say no fish can do that.
No, they can't, because when they move the tail, it's designed to propel them forward. The fins
so
of
it's
the tail.
They can't go backwards, nothing.
No.
But anyway, so my number 7 is a movie based on a Stephen King novel. One of the few that I actually adaptation. Let's put it this way: most of the adaptations of Stephen King novels are actually better than the books themselves. Stephen King, arguably cannot write. He's overall was a decent writer, but he overall also did not understand the concept of not rambling on, or understand the concept of being able to have a proper ending to a story. But the adaptation of one of his stories with this movie is very much enjoyable. I rewatch, especially around Halloween, whenever it's on, and that's Christine. It's pretty much in a nutshell about a demon-possessed car. All right, that's it. And this teenager, played by Keith Gordon, whom you would know, like, at least if you've seen Jaws 2, like he has a role in Jaws 2, but like this is one of his early roles, and he's the teenager that really wants to buy this car. He really wants to, like, he's saving up his money to buy this car despite his parents not wanting him to do it. He's a nerd, pretty much. He gets picked on in school, and he's saving up to buy something of his own. All right, and that's this vehicle called Christine that is being sold by this man who's, I believe, the brother of the former owner of the car. All right, and as such, from that point forward, and Keith Gordon's character has a friend, pretty much like his only friend in school, and I can't remember the actor's name, but that actor we would see later on in Top Gun. He's the character that has a mental break while he's flying and has to leave. He has to turn in his wings because he nearly died while flying, and has panics, and the fact that he's has a young child that he realizes that he likely won't ever see if he continues. That's the actor there, but he plays his friend in this movie, and you see the progressive changes to Gordon's character, how he goes from he's kind of a nerd, but he's taking on his personality changes as the movie progresses, and the car actually forms a connection with Gordon's character to the point where the car actually goes after his bullies. Yeah, he was also in school. Yeah, because I was just watching that recently with Rodney Dangerfield and Robert Downey Jr.
So basically, it's an evil bumblebee,
like a demon-possessed bumblebee, pretty much.
Yeah. I almost watched that movie the other day, but I watched Cujo instead. To double check if stuff would make it to my top 10 list.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you might enjoy Christine. It's not exactly great necessarily, but it's an enjoyable adaptation of the book. Yes, 1958 Plymouth from Hell.
I absolutely want to watch it. I just didn't get around to it. So
Harry Dean Stanton plays a detective because he's looking into these murders that start happening. And the movie pretty much starts out with the audience knowing this car is not normal. So it's not it builds up and surprise it's the car all along. No, it's we know that this car there's something wrong with it. And I love how they do that. No surprises. So it's a decent horror movie.
Yeah.
So.
And
what's her? Alexandra Paul is in it. She was in Baywatch a little bit later on. She's in it as well. With I know her because I watched Baywatch first before I saw Christine, so I knew her with short hair. She has long hair in this one.
Also, a very good actress.
Yeah, so she plays this new girl in school. So yeah, so she's becomes kind of a mainish character of sorts because she begins dating Gordon's character, but Gordon's friend also has a crush on her, and they kind of have to get together because they're noticing changes to their friend. So, and John Carpenter is involved. Yeah, so you might enjoy it. Christine.
Yeah, I'm loving it when I remember movies that I haven't watched from the 80s, because that counts as new content, and more often than not, it's actually good content.
I think
so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Kelly Preston plays a girl who has a crush on Gordon's friend's character, but he kind of he was originally like hitting on her, but then he like sees the new girl and immediately like, kind of forgets her and and starts crushing on the new girl. So I'd have to look it up. Chances are I did just because it was very good. So it's like very good special effects, at least for like 1983 for that scene. And pretty much it's a showdown at the end of the movie between like two of the characters in the car, which makes it interesting.
So the natural sequel to that one would be Maximum Overdrive, where all the cars go evil.
I think isn't Maximum Overdrive like another Stephen King movie? Yeah, so like kind of the
he directed
unofficial sequel.
Yeah, he actually directed it, I think, and AC/DC did the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the unofficial sequel of sorts.
Yeah.
So it's like more like, it's not directly connected to Christine, but at the same time, it's like similar concept, pretty much. Evil cars.
Have you seen Killdozer?
No.
It's from the 70s. It's a bulldozer killing people. Cult classic.
It has to be a cult classic.
Yeah. So
I didn't bother with Christine 2. I don't trust sequels to movies that should be one-off horror movies, especially if it's just based on one book. Why is there a sequel?
Yeah. Good point.
Hey, bring the bunny. Yeah, so that's my number 7, Christine.
Okay. Your turn to do 6 then.
All right. So my number 6, you would not think this, but like when I semi-describe the plot, but this is actually a movie that was produced by Walt Disney Productions from 1983. Jason Robards, Jonathan Pryce, Diane Ladd, Pam Grier. All right, basically a story where the primary main characters are kids. So like when you're watching it as a kid, you kind of have that connection that way. And that is Something Wicked This Way Comes, a dark fantasy from 1983. Pretty much this small town. You have these two boys that are their best friends. And literally overnight, a carnival comes to town and sets up. And this is no ordinary carnival. Like literally the one who's running it is called Mr. Dark, played by Jonathan Pryce. Right? And like weird things begin happening to the residents of the town. Not just to the residents, but sometimes to the carnival workers themselves. And there's something not right. Something not right with Mr. Dark, and it pretty much becomes it's actually a battle of good and evil by the time they progresses to the end. So yeah, so full film, yeah. So you watch this film and then you find out, like, holy shit, it was produced by Walt Disney. You would not think that watching this movie. Because I scared scared me as a kid too. I wouldn't say it scared the crap out of me, but it scared me because it's really off-putting in some cases when you're watching it as a kid. Maybe as an adult you won't have that similar effect, but when you're watching it as a kid, because the two main characters are kids and they're having to basically fight this evil that's come to their town. It does not come across as a Walt Disney produced movie, but it is. Something Wicked This Way Comes. If you have not seen it, I recommend just giving it a go, giving it a watch, and seeing how you feel. Pretty much.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, so Jonathan Pryce, who's a good actor. Jason Robards, who's a good actor. Diane Ladd, Pam Grier's in it.
Yeah, excellent cast.
So I was I'm not saying that you'll enjoy it, but I'm saying give it a watch. Give it a watch.
Yeah.
Just for the premise that it's a dark fantasy, and it's a time when Disney had actual cojones to put movies like this out.
Yeah,
not the shit they're doing now.
And they didn't virtue signal Pam Grier being in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they did have sister studios that were released. So basically, this is through Walt Disney Productions, but it's like, other companies like Buena Vista Distribution, like technically distributed it, but it's connected to Walt Disney Productions. So, like, they do have like the sister studios that do the more edgy films still, but like they were in a sense connected because they were the producers. Like it was their production company. So yeah, I'm not surprised he wrote a rejected adaptation because, like I said, Stephen King cannot write. Anyway, that is my number 6. Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Okay. My number 6 is an animated movie. The sword and sorcery epic Fire and Ice. Have you seen it?
No.
It's by the guy who did I think it is the guy who did the Lord of the Rings animated one from the late 70s. Ralph Bakshi.
I have to look up Fire and Ice. Let me make sure that I haven't seen it because
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like Conan-ish. You have a barbarian character and a young hunter guy from from a tribe, and a scantily clad princess babe.
no, I haven't seen it. I'm looking at it. I haven't seen it.
It's actually awesome. It really is. It's a great animated movie, and it's heavy metal as shit. Actually, the movie was made because of a artwork done by Frank Frazetta, who did Conan artwork back in the 70s and what have you. And they made a movie with a character from one of his art pieces. Guy was like a kind of a wolf's head helmet-ish thing. Can't remember his name, but yeah, kind of straightforward. Evil wizard is trying to do some shit, and a young hero teaming up
Fantasy
with
is pretty straightforward.
Especially,
fantasy is quintessential good versus evil.
Yeah, and in this case, it's it uses the same stereotypes almost as Star Wars. You have the young idealist, the princess, and
Well,
in
that's
this case, there's no swashbuckler, but you have a barbarian warrior. And they ride winged creatures into battle and all kinds of stuff. And there's a witch and some monsters. Just pure fun. I think you'd really like it. Actually, it's not that long either. It's an hour and 20, maybe.
So maybe I'll do it as like one of my watch parties because like I said, I created a Discord server yesterday, and I have like voice channel set for like watch party. So if anybody's up, basically what I would do, like how it works is you would join the voice chat and I would share my screen of like whatever movie we're watching.
Oh, Dynamite Comics just started. It was last year. They started a prequel comic to that movie, and the daughter of the late Frank Frazetta, or was it Bakshi, completely endorsed it. But apparently now they've gone woke with it.
Yeah, I don't mind Rotoscope. I mean, it's not like they're not necessarily my go-to, but I don't mind it.
It's done better in this than it was in the Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, so. We're talking about the movie Fire and Ice, or at least like that is on Steeg's list. That's what we're talking about, Fire and Ice.
Yeah, I think it's available on YouTube as well, so you could, watch it on the phone before bed or something. I don't know.
So,
definitely worth it.
So yeah. So that is our number 6. So number 5.
It's your turn.
No, it's your turn. I did the evens.
Oh,
I started
shit.
the evens, you start the odds.
Yeah. Well, I lost track of it. Well, I have a Bond movie, Octopussy. Cheesy title, yes. Fun movie. Involves Bond having to investigate something involving a Fabergé egg, and has to go to India to basically uncover more of the plot, which involves a Russian general who wants to start World War III, played by Steven Berkoff, the villain from Beverly Hills Cop. He played a lot of villains in the 80s. And he runs across Octopussy. That's actually her name. Some rich lady who has a small, little, tiny army of scantily clad women who knows kung fu, or pretends they can use kung fu, and machine guns. And great henchmen in this one. One guy has it's like a double circular saw blade that he has a chain attached to it or something, and he uses it as a yo-yo to slash people up. Because he throws it.
I haven't seen, but then again, I never really watched many of Roger Moore Bonds, because I always preferred Sean Connery.
Well, this one's great.
At least in that time period, I preferred Sean Connery.
Yeah, and another one. Well, there's twins as well that throws knives. They're circus performers, also henchmen. So
okay,
lots of fun, lots of one-liners. The villain's not necessarily that good, but yeah, it's a fun Roger Moore Bond film. Not deep. It doesn't even take itself that seriously.
See, the thing is, that's kind of it's kind of what turned me off of those. It's right here. It's they got more goofy, and I'm not saying they necessarily had to take themselves seriously, because you're talking about a spy that say for example, You Only Live Twice, where he has little Nelly sent to him that he puts together in some mini helicopter. How often would that happen? I'm not saying they have to can't be out to a degree outlandish because of the scenarios Bond finds himself in, but at the same time it's there has to be a little bit of seriousness there for me in watching a Bond film.
And in this one, he actually has less gadgets.
Yeah.
He has a scene with Q when Q is in India and is showing off, what the stuff they're inventing, and they have this snake charmer's rope. Someone's that old trick, you climb up a rope and then you disappear.
Yeah.
And this one, some guy's climbing up the rope and the rope, snaps and bends, so it doesn't work. And Bond goes, "Trouble keeping it up, Q."
Oh God.
Yeah, it has those sequences, but
no.
I'd give it a strong 7 out of 10 though.
I'll have to watch. Like I said, it's it didn't. I watched more Sean Connery ones than more.
Yeah. So you watched less more.
Yes. Anyway, that is your number 5.
Yes, Octopussy.
So, my number 5 is another movie based on a novel, this time based on a 1967 novel by a female author. You know how they never existed before 2016 and all shit like that, by a female author named S.C. Hinton. Right? Okay? From 1983, coming of age drama with sort of criminal elements involved, and that is The Outsiders. Basically, a cast of who's who from the 1980s, where you have C. Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio, Matt Dillon, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise. You even have Diane Lane in it. And I believe, part of me wants to say Nicolas Cage at some point, was in this movie. But The Outsiders
I've
The
actually,
Outsider.
I've actually never seen it. I almost watched it for the first time the other day. Just
Hmm.
I watched Cobra instead
So
for the 50th time, but it's on my list of stuff to
yeah,
watch very soon.
it has like I don't necessarily want to necessarily call it a famous scene, but it has like basically a very like it's like for those who've seen the movie, well known scene with C. Thomas Howell quoting, "All that glitters is not gold." All right, I don't want to go into details. Yeah, stay gold, pony boy, stay gold. Yes, I don't want to go into necessarily details. I don't want to, because you haven't seen it, so I don't want to spoil anything that happens in the novel. But it's very much a coming of age um, story. Like I said, starring the who's who of the 1980s, pretty much. So you have the Curtis brothers, Johnny Dallas, like literally like the names, Pony Boy, Cherry, and so forth. Okay, it's set in it's like the book itself is like written in 1967, but the movie itself is set in 1965. So it's a coming of age story in like the mid 60s. So you like very much have that basically slice of life feel esque to the movie based on the time period it's set in. And another movie that I watched that also stars Emilio Estevez, that's based on an S.C. Hinton book, is called That Was Then, This Is Now. That movie, that movie, very much put itself in the 1980s, even though the book itself is set well before. I mean, I have to look up the book to see when That Was Then, This Is Now was written. When was it written? Oh, come on. When was it written? Wikipedia is shit when it comes to. I think it was actually set in the 1970s, but for whatever reason, they set That Was Then, This Is Now in the 1980s when they made it. But I think the book itself was but the book itself, That Was Then, This Is Now, was set in the 1970s, and then The Outsiders, which is basically a not sort of a prequel of sorts to That Was Then, This Is Now, in a sense, like because it was like was 1967. It came out in 1967, set in 1965. So, also it stars Tom Cruise. And I'm not going to get into this because I don't want bricks thrown through my window. So, yeah, Tom Cruise, before he became like the A-lister we know now, was also in The Outsiders. So I recommend giving it at least one watch, Stieg, whenever you have a chance.
Yeah, it's on my list of stuff to watch soonish.
Yeah, like I said, it's a coming of age film, but it's like basically focused on the wrong side of the tracks elements of sorts, if that makes sense. Those who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, that's are considered criminals, even though at their hearts they're really not. See, the thing is, they're two different plots, so you'd have to take a lot into consideration. In terms of the age I watched it, each one of them, I would say Stand By Me, because it's I connected more with the characters in that one. But as I got older, I appreciated The Outsiders more and more. Because there's a lot more to The Outsiders in terms of coming of age and the characters than there is to Stand By Me. But I still very much enjoy Stand By Me. Again, based on a Stephen King story where the movie adaptation was better than the book. So, yeah, Patrick Swayze was also good. Yeah, like everyone was good in The Outsiders. Like I said, it's a who's who from the 1980s in terms of in terms of this way, not young adults, but like the heartthrob, not heartthrobs, but you know what I'm talking about, pretty much like Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Ralph Macchio, like the young Hollywood crowd.
Yeah, which is so much. They were so much more talented than the youngsters now. For the most part. I mean, heck, Rob Lowe. If he hadn't fucked up, he would have been a massive star now.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 years before Breakfast Club, yeah, Emilio Estevez was also in Breakfast Club. Yeah, so I'm like these were the young actors of the day.
Emilio Estevez always had a knack for being in stuff that was very entertaining, I noticed.
Mm-hmm. And he took his father's real last name to differentiate himself from his brother Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
So.
And Emilio Estevez never had any problems like Charlie Sheen had and a lot of the other youngsters from that time. Emilio Estevez seems
of the two, Emilio Estevez was the normal one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my number 5, The Outsiders.
Okay.
And number 4. All right. This one, just soundtrack alone is enough basically to very much get myself watching this film. And it's pretty much every young man's wet dream from 1983, particularly with Jennifer Beal. And that is Flashdance. Yes, it's basically it's a romantic drama. I typically do not gravitate towards romantic dramas, but it does it well enough. Does it well enough that doesn't hit you over the head with it.
It's actually a well acted and fun movie. Even though I'm not too into that genre, I'd still watch it from time to time. It's
so it's like it does have those elements, but the movie itself is fun, and it's pretty much Jennifer Beals plays a woman who wants to pursue her dreams. Right, she wants to pursue her dreams. She works at a steel mill. She's but aspires to be a professional ballerina, a professional dancer,
just like Trey.
You all know, you all want me to do that, don't you? The famous scene from Flashdance that somehow there's a bucket of water just hanging up there.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you something. Mara does that on camera for the 80s D&D game with the water and all. It's for immersion, no judgment.
Yes, no, yeah, obviously. If you judged, I'd wonder about your sexuality. But all right, that pretty much is the movie in a nutshell. It's I'm not trying to oversimplify things, but it's a very fun 1980s movie, and it's one of those inspirational type movies because you have the main character who's not only has dreams but actually works to achieve those dreams, and fails.
Yeah, strong female lead, definitely in this case.
Yeah, fails, but she doesn't let that stop her.
Yep.
She doesn't let it stop her, which should be an inspiration to everyone, but in particular these fucking feminists that screech like howler monkeys on Twitter, oh, finally we have a strong female character. Meanwhile, you have this character in Flashdance who's the epitome of strong character, because she never lets her failures stop her. And she continues to pursue her dreams, and eventually she does achieve them.
Well, she doesn't look like a land whale, so
Well, she also doesn't look like a land whale, but at the same time, it's like she failed, but it did not stop. She didn't see it as like, like, oh, okay, I failed, so I might as well just stop. No, she saw it as just not another obstacle she had to overcome, which she did, and that should be like inspiration for everyone.
yeah.
Within the confines of a fun 1980s movie. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for? I don't know. And soundtrack alone makes you want to just dance. Because you have Maniac, you have Flashdance by Irene Cara.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like pretty much, yeah, like every what like dream. Like, come on. But yeah, I had to include Flashdance on the list, and it's like one of my go tos when I'm rewatching movies from the 1980s, and that's it, Flashdance. Hell, I was even listening to Flashdance What a Feeling recently, so it still resonates.
Yeah, and it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
puts you in a good mood. A lot of 80s movies are like that.
Yeah.
Really. It's seriously the decade for it.
And some Norwegian guy, we will most likely have crossovers for this next year that we'll be doing 1984 because there's so many that came out that year.
Yeah, it's so full of movies that I mean, coming up with the top 7 for next year, it's going to take like 2 minutes because you simply can't leave out a lot of them.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's my number 4 is Flashdance.
That's going to be a quick stream because it's just crossovers. It'll be like,
yeah. Okay. Oh, that's also my list. So let's might as well talk about it now. So the only difference is like where we put them on the list. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 4, Flashdance.
We should do like a rule for that. Whenever we get a crossover, the one who has it the highest, or rather closest to 1, is the one who yaps about it.
No, we'll see. We'll see.
Because that's the one who loves it most.
Do you want me to say, Trey? Anyway, yeah. What's your number 4?
My number 4, if people looked at my Twitter yesterday, I watched it yesterday. It's Blue Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crime movie, really, with a highly advanced chopper in it called Blue Thunder. Stars Roy Scheider as a helicopter police officer, and his partner is Daniel Stern, a young Daniel Stern. They witness a murder while they're patrolling the sky above, I think it was Boston. Also spying on women doing naked yoga inside their living room because you can put the chopper on silent, right? So they swing by this lady every night, watching her do naked yoga. Yeah, see, fuck Norris mentioned.
Yeah,
but
YouTube, so
yeah, and the villain's played by Malcolm McDowell.
He plays a good villain.
Really good in this one. He's a prick.
Ghostbusters. Anyway,
so it's kind of a murder conspiracy mystery with some helicopter action. Really well made.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, really well made. Really well acted. Fun to see Daniel Stern play something else than a wet bandit. I think you'd like it. Really good soundtrack too. And Roy Scheider is always solid, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah. I definitely recommend it to everyone.
Sleepaway Camp nearly made the list just because of the ending alone. Like, that ending is just seared into my fucking brain. So, and it's just stuck there. ever like just from the first time watching, have you seen Sleepaway Camp?
I think I might have. Does it have George Costanza in it?
I can't remember, but the ending would be seared into your brain if you did.
Hmm.
You wouldn't think you've seen it. You know you've seen it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like maybe you did see, like maybe you did see it, but I'm saying, like if that ending did not end up like in the back of your head, then you weren't paying attention.
Well, could have watched it drunk or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I believe it, Gravy. I can't remember if George Costanza's in it necessarily. I don't like but that the ending. All I'm saying is the ending.
I know he was in one of the 80s slashers. I can't remember which one it was.
Here, I'll look up Sleepaway Camp now, see if he's listed.
It also could be that maybe I didn't finish it.
I'm saying if you definitely would remember the ending if you finished it. I'm not saying George Costanza, so I think you're thinking of another movie.
No.
Because he's not, at least it's on Wikipedia, he's not listed unless he had an uncredited role. You're thinking of another film.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking of another film.
I mean, it's just, yeah. Yeah, Ace Ventura would have solved it, yeah. Anyway. Okay. That's your number 4. So we're on number 3.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Yep.
I have Trading Places. I bet you have too. Somewhere. Really?
No, didn't quite make the top 10.
I was certain it would be there. Anyway, yeah, Trading Places.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy in.
DJD saying he's in The Burn. Is that the one you're thinking of?
That could be. Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
Trading Places
Mhm.
would not be made today due to political stuff. There's N-words being tossed around and all kinds of stuff.
No, not high. Just there were 3 movies that I actually prefer over Trading Places. So
yeah, and well, Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, Jamie Lee Curtis's tits. What's not to like? I'm not going to go into any kind of detail about the plot because everyone's seen this one.
Mm-hmm.
I just be.
Well, yeah. So it's like not just because everyone has seen it, but because it's like we'd be here a long time if we went into details necessarily. So just
it's
knowing
like
the overall premise.
Yeah,
So.
it's like a pick your battles kind of thing. Basically, a couple of old pricks makes a bet that they can turn Dan Aykroyd, who's a rich fellow, into a criminal, basically, and turn a criminal into what Dan Aykroyd is.
It's pretty much a weird version of like My Fair Lady of sorts.
Yes,
like a weird bet.
Yeah, and terrific cast, great plot. I think it loses its way a little bit towards the end. In terms of convenience, gets very convenient.
It happens, like, especially when
Yeah.
they like run out, like you realize that they've written themselves into a corner, so they have to add convenience.
Yeah. It's still one of Eddie Murphy's best, one of Dan Aykroyd's best, I think.
Yeah.
Very, very rewatchable. And isn't it also a Christmas movie? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it would technically,
Yeah.
it's set around Christmas, so technically it would be a Christmas movie.
Yeah. And it's like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, something like that. High on rewatch value.
Yeah. So, well, my number 3. So I know only a small part of it is Christmas, but the fact that like it actually, like, even for that small part takes place around Christmas, people
Actually,
kind of consider it a Christmas movie. So
actually, the best scene though, drunk Dan Aykroyd dressed as Santa, just snarling in the hallway.
Yeah.
And eating salmon through his beard.
Yeah. Anyway, this is my number 3. A Christmas Story. I watch it every year after Thanksgiving, like in the lead up to Christmas. And it's
Is that the one with the lamp?
Carl Reiner, yeah, is
Yeah.
narrating, basically narrating the story, and it's all about the year he really wanted a Red Ryder BB gun. Okay, so it's they don't give an exact year when it starts, but you can figure out when essentially it takes place, because you have a scene where Ralphie and his brother Randy are waiting to see Santa Claus, and you have Wizard of Oz characters that were part of the parade, like the Wicked Witch of the West, the Lion, the Scarecrow, and so forth, in that scene. So you, at the very least, it's 1939. At the very latest, all right, it's before late 1941. It can't be Christmas 1941 because that's when it would be after Pearl Harbor, and there's no mention of that at all in the movie. So it's either 1939 or 1940, but they don't really give it an actual year. I don't know if they re-released it recently. But yeah, like, all Ralphie really wants is a Red Ryder BB gun. He tries asking his parents. His mother says you'll shoot your eye out, so he figures, oh, I'll write about it in a theme that I'm being assigned for my class. Saying, like, his teacher would be on his side. No, the teacher says also you'll shoot your eye out. Undeterred, he asks Santa Claus, and like that's like in a nutshell, the movie, with other things happening in the meantime, like with the Little Orphan Annie secret decoder pin that he gets in the mail because he listens to that radio program. His father fancies himself as his father is a car salesman, but he fancies himself as a mechanic. And so forth. He wins an award at his work. It's a leg lamp. It's called the Major Award. And my family actually has a miniature version of the leg lamp, and we call it the Minor Award. Ralphie is bullied by 2 bullies, one of which played by Zach Ward, who actually is was in, I believe he was in Freddy vs. Jason. So he's done things post Christmas.
He was on a show called Titus.
Yeah,
in the
a
90s.
show called Titus. So
yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, Gene Shepard. I was trying to remember. Gene Shepard's narrating. You actually see Gene Shepard. The scene where Ralphie and Randy are going into the line to wait for Santa Claus, and you have this father going, "Young man, what are you doing?" And he's telling Ralphie to get to the back of the line because he's cutting in line accidentally. That's Gene Shepard. That's the narrator, Gene Shepard, in that scene. He plays the father. So, coming up, Red Ryder. Yeah, Red Ryder is still around. Red Ryder is still around. Fragile. Must be Italian. I think this is Fragile, honey. Yeah, Zach Ward. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in a lot of stuff. So
He was in Postal, which is an Uwe Boll movie, which was actually fun. I like that one. It's loosely based on another video game, but I like that one. Postal.
it was Christmas 1941. Well, that doesn't make any sense for it to be in an alternate universe. Like, especially because history says otherwise. When it's set. So. But anyway, doesn't make sense. But yeah, so Christmas Stories, number 3. And like taught kids not to stick their tongues on a frozen pole. But anyway,
yeah, I've done that.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, I was
Yeah,
like,
that's my number 3.
I was like 3.
Anyway, we're on number 2. My number 2.
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, my number 2. Again, I will full on admit, objectively, not to everyone's taste in terms of movie, but subjectively, I love the hell out of this movie. I love the actors. I love the characters in this movie. It's like you say, it's the two leads are reprising the characters they created on SCTV. Has a little bit of a Hamlet feel in terms of the plot, and that is Strange Brew. All right,
Never even
pretty
heard
much.
of it.
You haven't heard of it? Sorry,
No.
Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas, or hold on, Max von Sydow is in it. Hold on. So, and okay, so basically Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis are reprising the characters they created on SCTV, right? Bob and Doug McKenzie. They're like Canadians, like the characters are Canadians, and they have like a segment on SCTV called The Great White North. And I have to put batteries in this mouse because I keep having to turn it off and on again to get to work. Very much a cult classic. Very much like I'm like with Fuck Norris, a cult classic. And the Bob and Doug McKenzie are sent out to buy beer, because like they've drunk the rest, and their father sends them out to get more. And they don't have any money because they gave the money away in the scene previous to it. And I'm not going into details, so I'm not going to you have to watch the movie to see why they gave the money away, because there is a reason they do it. So they try to get free beer by putting a mouse inside a empty beer bottle and claiming that they found the bottle like that with a mouse in it, and they tried to get a free case of what's the beer brand? Fucking hell, I can see it. It's like a Hamlet Illusion. The beer name. Anyway, they try to get free beer. They try to get a free case of beer, and the clerk, the owner, tells them basically, if you want to try to get free beer, go to the actual brewery. And in other words, fuck off. And that's where primarily the plot begins moving forward, is when the brothers get to the brewery, because we find out as the plot progresses that one of the men working there, played by Max von Sydow, right? He's pretty much an evil genius who wants to essentially take over the world, and to do so, he wants to use it by distributing beer that will allow him to control people. Right, that's where it starts. And then it kind of goes off the rails from that point forward.
So
that
so
post
they're going.
the dog's name is Hosehead.
So he's gonna make them ale to the king.
Ah, god damn it. Yes. Anyway. All right. Now he's pretty much the villain, and the reason why I say it's Hamlet-esque is because there is like the plot where it's the former brewery owner's daughter is coming into the inheritance, all right, because her father died in mysterious circumstances, and her mom married her uncle. All right, so very Hamlet feel in a sense. Yeah, that hurts.
Oh,
I
come
love it. There's
on.
so many good scenes. There's so many good scenes. In my opinion, where Rick Moranis' character is like drinks like a bunch of beer to save him and the daughter. There's like even like there's even allusions in the dialogue to Star Wars, because there's like there's actual hockey scene, because like basically like the villain tests the mixture on mental patients, because like next to the brewery is a mental institute. So he uses the patients to test the beer on to see how they can be controlled, and they do so by having them play hockey, because it's Canada, pretty much. All right, so they have them play hockey, and it's basically white uniforms of sorts. I don't know how to describe it, in black to differentiate the sides. And Dave Thomas' character is wearing the black one, and he's
it's called jerseys.
No, they're not jerseys. No, look it up. Look up how they look. They're not jerseys. I know the fucking word for jersey. It's not that. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you an image. See if I can find an image. Like this, I'll show you here. Like this, see?
Oh, the padding armor.
It's not not jerseys. Like they're wearing a light material underneath it, and then they have the padding. Yeah. So but they're not jerseys, but they're colored like that to differentiate. So they're it's I don't know how to describe them, other than the outfits they're wearing as part of this. But at one point, Dave Thomas, he's in the black one, says Luke, I am your father. Now come over to the dark side of the Force, you knob. So many lines that are quotable. Rosie, he's the guy that's helping them. He was a former hockey player. So yeah. So an interesting premise, a very interesting premise in this movie. And it's doesn't take itself seriously. It does not take itself seriously at all. It literally has a scene where the McKenzie brothers have to go into court, and their lawyer is taking them into court for I'm not going to go into the reason why, but he's taking them into court, and these reporters are surrounding the brothers trying to get interviews, and their lawyer actually beats up the press. He even beats up a female reporter. This movie does not take itself seriously. He does he beats up these reporters. So you might enjoy it, Trey. Strange Brew. And the brothers are watching their lawyer do this, and when the lawyer continues going into the court, the one brother is remind me to pay his bill on time. So it's does not take itself seriously at all. And I think you might like it. Hey, Gigawatt. So I think Trey, definitely, I think you would enjoy it. Yeah, I'm saying like he beats up a female. You might enjoy it. It's like he literally beats up a female reporter. Like she gets some good hits on him, but he overall the lawyer, he wins the round. So Strange Brew is my number 2. There you go.
Yeah, is it my turn now? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of my all-time favorite 80s movies, High Road to China, which is basically Tom Selleck's Indiana Jones. He got to do an adventure movie where he is, well, it's set in the 1920s. Tom Selleck plays a veteran pilot from World War One who takes, pilot jobs. He has to fly Bess Armstrong, was kind of like a socialite lady who's about to lose her inheritance because someone is going to declare her father dead. Well, she believes he's still alive in China. So she has to get there and confirm that he is alive before someone takes over the company forcefully, which will leave her with no money, which is bad when you're a socialite twat. So she and Tom Selleck has to travel from Istanbul to China in a small World War I veteran plane, which is a modern plane back then. Lots of fun adventures happening. They run into I think they have to land in Afghanistan or something to look for the father, and they get captured by Brian Blessed playing an Afghani warlord. It's when you watch it, you can tell what Spielberg was thinking when he wanted Tom Selleck to play Indiana Jones, because even though I can't picture anyone else than Harrison Ford doing it now, I can see how it would have worked if we hadn't had Harrison Ford. Tom Selleck had played it, and if someone in the chat hasn't watched High Road to China, it's definitely worth it. Absolutely, it is. I had Lady Gravemaster watch it, and she gave it a 10 out of 10. She couldn't stop talking about it.
At some point, I will watch it because there's there's a number of stuff I haven't seen. It's just finding the time.
Yeah. Wilford Brimley's in it. He actually plays the dad. And the one of the Chinamen from Indiana Jones 2, the one who doesn't get speared by the spear thing at the restaurant at the beginning. I think it's the guy who has the broken arm. He's in it as well. And the German from Indiana Jones 1, the guy who melts or kind of shrinks. He was like the second in command German officer.
Okay.
He's in it, plays a World War I flying ace, German ace that the villains send after Tom Selleck and Bess Armstrong. But Trey, if you haven't seen it, homework for you, go watch it. It's actually a great movie. High Road to China. That's my number 2.
Oh, now we're at our respective number 1s, but before we go into our number 1 chats, as we always do, we typically do a rundown from 10 to 2 for those who joined in late. Scene from 1993 or Outsiders, Return of the Jedi, one of my favorite movies of all time. Trading Places nearly made my list. The Outsiders made my list. Unfortunately, Return of the Jedi did not make my list, mainly because of what happened with Star Wars recently. It's hard for me to go back and watch the original trilogy as a result of it. But there are some movies that we have listed that if you have not seen, recommend that you checking out at some point if you can. If you have not seen Miss Mouse and not seen a lot of movies from 1983. Hey Ron, good to see you. But my list is as follows: from 10 to 2, Scarface. Again, I'm gonna reiterate for those who tuning in. You're wondering why is that number 10 and not closer to the top? It's because while it is very good in my opinion, it is very visceral, and it's one of those movies where I watch it and I can go for a nice long while without watching it again. Not because it's a bad movie, but because it's a gut punch and it's graphic and things like that. Where it's so I had to factor in rewatchability of these films. So Scarface, V. All right, the miniseries, Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island, Christine, Something Wicked This Way Comes, The Outsiders, Flashdance, A Christmas Story, and Strange Brew.
Yeah, I have. I went for nostalgia, not necessarily the best movies, but the ones I watched the most.
Mm-hmm.
You can have fond memories about a shit movie, right? But yeah, my number 10 is Superman 3. Number 9 is Gorky Park. Number 8's The Meaning of Life. 7's Jaws 3. 6 is Fire and Ice. 5 is Octopussy. 4 is Blue Thunder. 3 is Trading Places. And 2 is High Road to China.
Mm-hmm. And we are at our number 1.
And it's my turn.
Yeah, you start the odds.
Yeah. Well, I have Return of the Jedi. It's tainted now. It really is. But I had to put it there anyway because I watched it so many times.
Yeah.
Up until Disney pissed on it, basically.
Yeah.
A great movie to watch when you were a kid. Holy crap.
I still have the Ewok stuffed animal from when I was little. So that bear is nearly, I think it's gonna be 40 years old because it's when it was manufactured, it was the mid 80s.
Yeah, it was probably after
all that I got. Yeah, so it's hard to tell from the tag. So
yeah,
still have it.
I had almost all the action figures, the original ones, and I don't have them anymore. Probably, if I had them now, they probably might have been worth a bit. I don't know. So yeah, the 80s, you had the Marvel Star Wars comics as well, which in hindsight were cheesy as shit, but so much fun though, and Lando got to shine in them. But yeah, Return of the Jedi. I've not seen
Videodrome, so I'd have to check that out.
It's I'd say it's a very, very good ending to a damn good trilogy. I wouldn't say it's perfect.
It's in my opinion, it's the weakest of the 3.
Yeah.
But the ending is very good.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Yes.
And yeah. It's but like others have said, I think Cray said it in the chat. And you did it. It's hard to get back to it now.
Yeah.
Because all the shit that Disney's done, so it's very hard to kind of unsee it.
Mm-hmm. And like Trey pointed out, it doesn't matter now because it makes the ending pointless. They didn't win.
Yeah. You have to just get the Disney stuff out of your mind completely.
Yeah.
And just make yourself, realize it's 6 movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you manage to do that for a couple of hours, then yeah, it's still good. But I've noticed I don't want to watch them too much now. I'm still reading the comics and all, and an EU book now and again, but the movies are tainted because we've seen Jake Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
So it's but I still had to put it as number 1 because I've watched it so many times, and so many fond childhood memories of Star Wars, the action figures, the comics, the movies.
I can
So
see that. I mean, it's hard for me to go back and watch them, so it's like really hard for me to even add Return of the Jedi to my list, even though normally I would have. There's been any
yeah,
other time prior to Disney like butchering the IP, I would have. So, yeah, well, Mark Hamill's behavior didn't help. And Anakin isn't chosen one anymore. Like, all that stuff just got ruined.
yeah, that was like the whole point. Anakin's the chosen one, evil defeating itself from the inside, basically.
Yeah, because he's the one who defeated the Emperor, wasn't Luke.
Yeah, and when he killed Palpatine and died from it himself, the Sith were destroyed.
Yes.
And the Sith were the reason why the Force was in balance. It was like a cancer in the Force.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, Palpatine, he came back to life 30 minutes later. So yeah, they have a
survived
huge
fall into a nuclear reactor of sorts. It got blown up, and somehow he survived.
Yeah, so and they have this huge prophecy thing of someone who's supposed to destroy the Sith for 30 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah,
and then we find out, oh yeah, Yoda can make lightning strike things. Oh, so Ghost Yoda could have killed Palpatine and Vader himself. So
I want to move on because like this is just.
I know it's so baffling.
But anyway, yeah. So like normal time, I would have just because I grew up loving Star Wars. But now it's like if it's on, I'll watch it sort of. Like I might not sit down to watch it, but I'll watch it sort of. That's where I am right now. But not my number one.
It was still fun when we played Star Wars D&D. I thought
that was fun, and then it's just a lot of shit like happened between then and now, and it's like okay, I'm checked out. Not going to go into details. Not going to call anyone out or anything. Just checked out.
Yeah.
But my number one is a movie. While not objectively good, subjectively I love it, and it's basically a love child of Star Wars and Mad Max, and it's a movie that I can. While there is one big weakness, in my opinion, I have with this movie that I believe is in this movie, in the form of Molly Ringwald, it is Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. I love Elmer Bernstein's score to the movie. All right, it's a little too epic for the movie itself, but absolutely love it. It is very much a love child of Star Wars and Mad Max. It very it has that because they were trying to capitalize on the popularity of Star Wars, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi was coming out the same year, so they were trying to capitalize on that. Well, Evil Dead was 1980. Was
81?
Wasn't 83. It was earlier.
Yeah, because we had it. One of us had it on the list.
Yeah. So we're only concentrating 1983. So Evil Dead. There's no Evil Dead for 1983.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2 is 88 or 87, I think. So it's going to be a while.
Yeah. So
it's going to be a while till we have one on.
But like I said, Space Hunter, they very Ivan Reitman, that studio is very much trying to capitalize on the popularity of Star Wars, and it has a very dystopian feel to it, and the clothing and the atmosphere and the side characters and so forth. Very much that feel from Mad Max. That's why I call it the love child, of those two IPs. And Peter Strauss plays a character. He's goes by Wolf, which is the inspiration for my character's last name in D&D Call of Cthulhu and how he spells it. But his character's a wolf, and he's basically he basically works for himself, and he takes contracts here and there sort of a bounty hunter-esque type of character, but not necessarily a bounty hunter, but he takes contracts when when things come up, like the rescue of these 3 women whose escape pod landed in a certain zone that's not a lot of people want to go to because of the quarantine that happened. So he decides to go because of the huge reward that's tied to the rescue. He's that type of character. So he decides he's going to go basically rescue these women and claim the reward, and touches down on this planet that's in what's called the Forbidden Zone because of the quarantine, which is why hardly anyone goes there. Ernie Hudson plays the character Washington, who's a character that has known Wolf. They're kind of like frenemies almost, where they there is a begrudged respect they have for each other, but at the same time they're not exactly friends. Michael Ironside plays the villain, Overdog. Love it. I have not watched Rebel Moon. Not touched it. Pre-Ghost. This role almost cost Ernie Hudson the character of Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters in 1984, because the studio, when I say Hollywood has not changed in decades, I'm being serious. They've not changed in decades. They very much will pigeonhole actors and actresses in certain roles based on another role that actor or actress played, even though that they could take on multiple characters. That's why it's called acting. And whenever Ernie Hudson couldn't even get an audition really for Winston until later when the studio was desperate to find an actor to play Winston Zeddemore. Couldn't even get an audition because the studio looked at Ernie Hudson and saw the character of Washington, and assumed that he would play Winston like that. So that role of Washington nearly cost Ernie Hudson the role of Winston Zeddemore, because the studio, the fucking dickheads that they are, couldn't get past that fact, and it took a long time for Hudson to be able to get an audition for Ghostbusters. Hollywood's been dickheads for years, so nothing new nowadays when people complain about that shit. But yeah, they were retarded back then too, pretty much. So it would not have been Reitman, because Reitman, I'm sure Reitman would have given him a chance, but no one else really wanted to. Until finally, after fighting it, Ernie Hudson did get an audition, and oh my god, shocker, he's actually good for the role because he can play something other than Washington from Space Hunter. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of Space Hunter. Going to rescue these 3 girls. It couldn't be made nowadays because you can't have a damsel in distress. All right. So there it is, rescuing them and basically escape. And it's supposed to be, because it's called Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, it was supposed to spawn sequels, but it didn't do well at the box office. So it's basically
would you be happy if they had done a sequel now in the form of an animated show?
It'd have to be a studio that I would absolutely trust.
Because when I watched this, I think it was last year, you told me to watch it, and I liked it, and I can also see how this movie can grow on you. But it had a lot of mentions of this and that and stuff that can be expanded upon.
It was supposed to spawn sequels. That's called Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. So it's supposed to spawn sequels so you could see the different things they mentioned and continue the adventures. But it didn't do well. And Colin Mockery has a small part in it. So he's in it as well. He's a blink and you'll miss it type of character if you're not paying attention in this movie. But it'd have to be a studio that I absolutely trust. And the writers I would absolutely have to trust not to include any agenda in it. Regardless of the political side. So it'd be very hard for me to say yes or no at this point, because a lot of factors would have to fall into place for me to go, yes, I would want a continuation.
Yeah.
I just don't trust a lot of people nowadays.
It's either well, nowadays it's either it's okay or it fucks everything up retroactively.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to
It's
come
like
out and say, "Oh yes, I would love to see that," because young me, like my inner child, would be like, "Yes, I want to see it because I want to see the continuing adventures." I can't.
it's like Russian roulette now with 4 bullets in the barrel.
Yeah. Pretty much. So yeah. Interesting trivia to Buckaroo Banzai, Trey. When they're walking during the end credits, all right, end of the movie, and they're like walking all together um in step with each other. The song that's playing, right, is not what we hear. Obviously, it's not what we hear at the end of the movie, but they are playing a song to help them get into step to the beat, because the end song, the end track, and the song they're walking to had the same beat, and that was Uptown Girl. So they are walking to Uptown Girl in that scene. Because Uptown Girl and the end track had the same beat to it. So there's a little bit of trivia for you for Buckaroo Banzai. Anyway, that's my number 1, Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. And that is our top 10 lists from 1983.
Yep. We did not have any crossovers today.
Nope. But I feel like you said, yeah, we're going to have crossovers for 1984.
I'm willing to bet we're gonna have at least 5.
Yeah.
Because holy hell, though, you have Gremlins,
Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Terminator,
Beverly Hills Cop, I think, Temple of Doom, Karate Kid.
There's a lot that came out in 1984.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, yes, Trey. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Also, A Christmas Carol.
Yep, that I got you to watch. My
Yes.
favorite version of Christmas Carol.
Well, that's probably my favorite version as well. But I will give a shout out to the Muppets, though, and Michael Caine, because they did a splendid one too.
Yeah, I don't think the George C. Scott Christmas Carol gets necessarily enough love just because people it was a TV movie.
It didn't feel like a TV movie at
No, it
all.
didn't. But it's actually made for TV, so
Yeah, I thought it was a 9 or a 10 out of 10 actually, because you have to judge it for what it's trying to do. You can't judge Cobra up against Return of the King or something when you rate stuff like this. But as an adaptation of that story, it was probably like a 10. The acting was
it's more accurate to the book itself, the story itself, than the 1951 version that people seem to laud. I mean, I don't mind necessarily the 1951 Alistair Sim version, but why people love it, I have absolutely no clue. Just because it takes way too many liberties with the plots in that movie. It actually changes the woman he loves his name. Changes her story entirely.
Did you like the Jim Carrey one?
I kind of started watching that and never finished it.
I thought it was pretty good.
So I can't say yes or no because I'd actually have to go back and watch it. But yeah, but there it is. Yeah. I have a problem with it mainly because of the fact that I actually sat there while the Alistair Sim version was playing, and I timed how long the Ghost of Christmas Past segment happened, or like how long that was, how long the present one was, and how long the Christmas Yet to Come one was. Right, I timed those. The Ghost of Christmas Past dwarfs both the Ghost of Christmas Present and Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come combined in terms of time. It beats you over the fucking head. Like, you get it? You get it? He used to be good. You get it? He used to be a good. Yeah, I fucking get it. That's the main problem I have with that one, because I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, let this end. I get it. He wasn't always bad. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Anyway. But that's like for another time, whenever we're talking about maybe the Christmas Carol adaptations. But that's just my opinion on it.
I want to get a proper hardcover version of the book. I think it's
actually more of a short story. But yeah. I did a reading stream of it. Yeah, I like it. I love it. It's one of my favorite Charles Dickens stories.
I think it's one of those books every household should have. Really.
Yeah. So, but those are our top 10 lists. I am going to have to jump off relatively shortly to take my dog out so she lasts the night. I can get myself to bed. So thank you all for hanging out with us for this top 10. Next one will be top 10 films from 1984. So start getting your list going. You have until the end of next month, or the last Wednesday of next month. For the
it's gonna get it's gonna get rather brutal making the top 10 lists now, because 84, 85, 86, and 87 are nuts. Yeah. Especially 84 and 87.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and yes, I have a Discord where normally Saturday will be normally on Saturdays I would be doing Talk Nerdy to Us with My Nerdy Home, but because she'll be busy, it's what right now it's going to look like a watch party for the Royal Rumble. So if you watch professional wrestling, that's my plan. Since I won't be doing Talk Nerdy to Us Saturday evening, just to keep it simple. So starts at 8 p.m. The event itself starts at 8 p.m. Might start getting into the Discord a little bit before then, and things like that. So if you like professional wrestling, that's what we're gonna be doing. I have to get batteries for this damn mouse. It keeps dying on me. It's a piece of shit. But yeah. So thank you everyone. Tomorrow I'll be live on my Twitch playing, seeing how far I get in the Ada Wong DLC Separate Ways. Dressed as Ada Wong, OG Ada Wong. So come check that out. It's on my Twitch. Friday I will be at least live in the evening. At least playing Splitgate, maybe Halo Master Chief Collection multiplayer. Doing a combination of multiplayer games. So I know Gigawatt has both. So Gigawatt, if you're still in the chat, if you want to join in, you're obviously in the Discord, and I'll have a voice channel, so you will be able to talk to each other. Favorite wrestler? Honestly, I grew up with primarily the Attitude Era. I do have a special love for one of my mom's favorite wrestlers, Roddy Piper. But when I was watching wrestling, back in the Attitude Era time, basically time period, I loved the Hardy Boys. I loved Eddie Guerrero. I loved Edge. Chris Jericho. I did like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I wouldn't say there was a favorites.
Did you know there's an animated movie featuring all the wrestlers from the animated TV show from the 80s with all the 80s wrestlers? The Sheik and Hulk Hogan and Mr. T and stuff?
No.
Yeah, there is. I think I have one episode on my YouTube channel. Just got away with it.
I'll have to check it out, but I do have to jump off because my mouse is dying and it keeps shutting off, and I have to keep so I can end the stream. So, but thank you all for hanging out with us. Next Wednesday, I'll be on Orange Chat's channel talking Face Off. The following Wednesday, we'll be back on my channel talking the good, the fun, and the weird. So,
Wait, that's when's the good, fun, and weird?
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, first week in February.
February, because there's an extra Wednesday in January.
Yeah.
So,
Just
So in
let
2 weeks.
me know a day or two before, because I have a lot on my mind.
okay, in 2 weeks, the good, the fun, and the weird. And then next week is Face Off. I'll be on Orange Chat's channel talking Face Off.
Not to be confused with Facial Off, which is a different movie entirely. So make
All
sure
right.
it's
Good night,
Face
ladies
Off.
and gentlemen. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My mouse is going to die. Got to get this going. So, peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.